Good evening. Sorry, I'm just so tired, but I saw this interview today and I just had to bring my thoughts over. The man who ran Stanford University for 16 years was once asked why the board picked him. The answer had nothing to do with his intelligence, nothing to do with his CV, rather shockingly. They picked him because of one thing: the ability to grow on the job. Think about how strange that is. Stanford, one of the most competitive, prestigious institutions on earth, and the quality they were selecting for wasn't just brilliance, it was the willingness to admit you are not finished yet. I've taught for over 10 years more than 400 students and counting, and I am going to tell you the single clearest pattern I've seen in all of them. But first you need to understand why this works. The man is Mr. John Hennessy, a Stanford president, co-founder of the chip company MIPS, later chairman of Alphabet, and a Turing Award winner, as in Alan Turing, computing's Nobel Prize. When his board chair told him that, Mr. Hennessy said he tried not to cringe, thinking about how green he'd been when he started. That's the point. He was green in his own words. He meant inexperienced and naive. He was supposed to be. The job didn't need someone who had already arrived. It needed someone who could keep arriving. And here's the line that reframes everything. He writes that humility does not mean a lack of ambition. He was deeply ambitious, just not for himself. Perhaps, he says, the only way to be both humble and ambitious is to be ambitious for the good of others. Wow. Now, this isn't a nice idea. It's the idea. Now, psychologist Tunnel Porter spent years studying what she calls intellectual humility. Knowing the limits of your own knowledge, her research found that students higher in intellectual humility had stronger motivation to learn, used better study strategies, and collaborated more effectively than students who didn't. And in organizations, companies, Bradley Owen, a professor of business ethics, research came across 8 separate findings, and it showed that humility predicted individual performance so strongly it could partly compensate for lower general mental ability. Now, let's read that again. Humility can outperform raw intelligence. Ms. Hennessy tells one more story. His first CEO announced Saturday morning staff meetings. Brutal. But he showed up with a box of donuts, and later, Mr. Hennessy saw that same CEO wiping down the counters in the lunchroom. Not delegating it, doing it. 30 years later, he still remembers it. That's the leverage of humility. It costs almost nothing, and it lasts for decades. So here's a pattern I've seen in 400 students, and the 3 questions that separate the ones who climb from the one who plateau. Number 1, what am I pretending to understand? Every ceiling I've seen a student hit was built out of a gap they were too embarrassed to name. Number 2, who is better than me at this, and have I actually asked them? The strongest students aren't the ones who need the least help, they are the ones who ask the earliest. Number 3, what did my last mistake teach me? Specifically, not our work harder. Specifically. The students who ask these questions don't just improve, they compound. Mr. Hennessy admits something here, that he isn't naturally a humble person. He learned to practice it, which means So can you? If this shifted something for you, then subscribe, because next time I am breaking down the exact study method the top 1% of students used, and it contradicts almost everything you've been told. And tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you're pretending to understand right now? I read every reply. Good night, and have a nice day tomorrow.